we will move ahead and we will now focus on self as subject and self as object. This is actually going to be a little ulta. Okay. So first of all, we will see self as subject. Sure. So what do you mean by self as subject? So subject is what? Self as subject is when yourself, when you yourself are describing yourself. है ना? So what is subject? Subject is when you tell about yourself, when you know yourself, right? That I am a dancer, okay? So you are describing yourself. So when a person describes their self, they are known as what? They are known as subject. ठीक है? So ठीक है, they're known as what? They are known as subject. Okay. So example can be what? Example can be then I am a dancer. Fine. So self can be understood as subject and object. Okay. So when you say that I know who I am, when you say I know what I am, so you are described as a knower, right? So self as subject is a knower, someone who knows itself, isn't it? So someone who knows itself, someone who understands who they are, someone who knows who they are. Okay, fine. Now, okay. So as a subject or as an actor, they actively engage in the process of knowing oneself. है ना? They engage in the activity of knowing oneself. They try to know themselves. Okay. Now, as an object, what is the difference? So when you see self as an object, what is self as an object? Okay. So self as an object is when someone describes you. Okay. When you get observed or when someone describes you, that is known as an object. Okay. So self as an object is observed and described by someone else. Okay. So what is happening over here? Self as an object is observed and is being described by someone else, right? So here, a person is getting observed by someone else, fine? They are basically being observed by someone else and someone else is trying to get to know them, okay? Someone else is trying to define them. Someone else is trying to get to know them, okay? So, okay. Okay, this is your self as subject and object. Now, let us take a look at the kinds of self. So, we have two basically. We have personal and then we have social self. Okay. Okay? So I'm not giving you notes over here. We can just have a discussion. What is personal self and what is social self? Personal self is something which leads to an orientation where one feels primarily concerned about themselves. Okay. So personal self and personal identity are one and the same thing, guys. So when you are describing yourself, okay, when you are telling about yourself, when you're engaging in getting to know yourself, all right. So when you're primarily concerned about yourself, that is known as your personal self. Okay. Then social self emerges in relation with others, all right? And it can emphasize a lot of concepts like cooperation, unity, sacrifice, etc. I just give you an example of your name and your surname, right? So your name is part of your personal self, and your surname is something which is going to connect you to your family. It is going to connect you to a social group, right? And we all know that in families we cooperate, sometimes we sacrifice, isn't it? So because these are values which are so connected with family and social groups, that is why social self is sometimes also known as your familial or relational self. Okay? What is it known as? Familial or relational self. Now the next thing we have to understand is cognitive and behavioral aspects of self. This is very interesting. Okay? तो पहले तो ना गाइस हम ये समझेंगे, we have to understand this also. What do you mean by cognitive and behavioral aspect of self, right? First have to understand the topic over here, and then we will get into the details of it. Okay, sure. Let's understand what do you mean by cognitive, and then we will see the behavioral aspects of self as well. So, what is cognition? Cognition is your mental processes, right? Your understanding skills, reasoning, perception, learning, etc. Fine, that is your cognitive skills. Okay. And behavior is what? Behavior is something which shows on the outside, right? What is behavior? Behavior is something which shows where? Which shows on the outside. Okay. So, let's talk about this now from the perspective of self. Okay. So, self is what? Self is you, right? So, you have certain cognitions about yourself, isn't it? That you are good in studies, that you are good in maths, you are good in sports, you're good in teaching. Okay. These are what? These are cognitions that you have about yourself. Okay. Uh, these are cognitions, these are mental processes, these are the understanding that you have about yourself, that you are good in this and this, you are this person, you're a brave person, you're not such a brave person, you are a person who can do anything for their friends. So this is all your cognition. This is how you understand yourself here. Okay. And whatever and however you understand yourself here, don't you think it will also show up in your behavior, right? Like a person who has high self-esteem, you will see that it shows up in their behavior in the sense they are confident, isn't it? They are very confident. I'll give you an example over here. I am a teacher, okay? I can teach humanities. Humanities is something I have done in my lifetime. So now if you go and tell me to teach history, I'm very good with history and psychology. I'll be very confident when I'm teaching you, which I think shows also. I really hope so. But if you tell me to go teach physics, I will be the most timid person. Matlab, the students can literally chew me and throw me. Matlab, कच्चा चबा जाएंगे वो मुझे, ऐसा हो सकता है. Why? Because in my mind, I know that I'm not a good teacher of physics. In my mind, I know that, oh, I don't know physics. I really don't understand physics, isn't it? So don't you think it will show up in my behavior as well? This is what you mean by cognitive aspects of behavior and self. Okay? What do you mean by that? So whatever you think about yourself here, it will show up in your behavior. Okay? And what are these cognitive aspects and behavioral aspects of self? The first one that we have to understand is self-esteem. Okay? Oh, sorry. The first one that we have to understand is self-concept, guys. Okay? So, chiliye. What is self-concept? Now, the way we perceive ourselves and the ideas that we have about our competencies. Okay? So, I'll explain, don't worry. Okay? So, what is it? It basically means what? The way we perceive ourselves, okay, the way we understand ourselves. So I just gave you a few examples that I can be very good with history and psychology, but I'll not be good with physics. So I have a perception regarding myself that I can be a good history and psychology teacher, but I might not be a very good physics teacher, okay? So this is the idea. This is how I'm perceiving myself, that I'm a good teacher in these subjects, not so good in these subjects. Okay. Then don't you think I have certain ideas regarding my competencies? What is competencies? Competencies basically means my capabilities. So I know what my capabilities are, isn't it? I can do wonders over here. But if you put me out in the cricket field, I'm scared of balls. All right. I don't like balls. मेरे पास ball आएगी तो मैं bat की जगह I'll do this. Right. So I know my competencies. I'll give you an example. I'm sure you have this in school also. So there are certain children who are very good in studies, right? And then you see them in the class environment. They are confident. They know what they want to do. They have their head held high. The teacher asks them a question. They have their hands raised first that I'm going to give the answer. Okay. At the same time, you have this child who's good in sports, but not very good in studies. You will see, they're hiding behind another student. They've not done their work. Their homework is not finished, and the teacher keeps, taunting them. You only go out and play. You will not do anything, this and that, right? You can see the difference, okay, in how a person who's good in studies will behave in class. But at the same time, now when you see this person who's good in sport, see them on the field, you will see a different aura. You will see a different confidence. You will see a different level of idea that he has about his competencies, right? So we all know, we are all aware about our competencies. We are all aware about our attributes and capabilities. We know where we can shine. We know where we are not good at, right? This is known as your self-concept, okay? So now we can have, a positive or a negative self-concept, fine. It can be positive in certain fields and negative in certain fields, fine. So, yeah. So it can be positive in certain fields and it can be negative in certain fields, okay? Now, okay. The next thing we have to know is self-esteem. What is self-esteem? Self-esteem basically means the value judgment that we make about ourselves, fine? That is known as your self-esteem. I'll explain. Now, what do you mean by value judgment that we make about ourselves? What is the meaning of it? What is this? This is the value judgment that we have about ourselves. Okay. So, what do you mean by this? So, as I told you guys, just now I gave you an example that there are certain places where we know we can shine, right? And then there are certain places where we know that we don't shine, isn't it? So, you will see that in those places where we know we can shine, we have our value judgment at a higher level, isn't it? We judge ourselves or we value ourselves, or the score, like very rudimentary terms, the score we give ourselves in that particular aspect is obviously going to be higher. Okay. Virat Kohli or Rohit Sharma, for that example, or Shubman Gill or whoever the player is, they know cricket, right? They know how to play it. They've been doing really well in that field. So they will have a higher value judgment about themselves in that particular field, right? But if I give them to teach physics, maybe not so much, isn't it? If I tell them to play maybe hockey, maybe not so much, isn't it? So when you are aware about your competencies, you can judge yourself, right? You can add value judgments to yourself in different fields. Okay. So when you add value judgments to yourself in different fields, you would know that, okay, in this field, I have a higher value judgment. So you have a higher self-esteem. Okay. And then in certain field, when you have a lower value judgment, you will have a lower self-esteem. Okay. This is what self-esteem means. Now, some people have high self-esteem, some can have low. You can have high self-esteem in certain fields. You can have low self-esteem in certain other fields. That can also happen. Okay? Chalo. Now, studies have indicated that by age 6 or 7, children seem to have formed self-esteem in at least 4 areas. Fine. So, which are these 4 areas? Now, self-esteem here doesn't mean it has to be high only, but they form self-esteem in these 4 areas. It can be high also, it can be low also. Okay? So, one is academic competence. Then we have social competence. Okay? Physical or athletic competence. And physical appearance also. Okay? So these are the 4 areas in which children from, age 6 to 7, they usually develop self-esteem. It can be high also, it can be low also, fine. There's some children who are very good in studies, right? So they have a high academic competence, high academic self-esteem. Sometimes they can also be very good socially. So I used to have, girls in my school who would speak very well. They had very good English. And I used to be really fond of them that, oh, they have such good English, such good communication skills. So that their social competence was actually very high. Fine. Similarly, some people develop physical and athletic competence. Fine, some don't. And then there's some children who develop physical appearance competence as well. All right. Now, so self-esteem also shows very strong relationship to everyday behavior. What do you mean by that? See, guys, children who have high self-esteem, all right, you will see that they perform better. Okay? At least those children who have high academic self-esteem, isn't it? You will see that they perform a lot better. Fine. They have a lot more confidence. Okay, as compared to children with low academic self-esteem, isn't it? And also, guys, very importantly, studies have indicated that warm, positive parenting plays a very important role in developing your high self-esteem. Okay, so warm, positive parenting plays a very important role, because sometimes our parents can also demean us, isn't it? Like, they can play down on our competencies a lot, right? They can play down on our competencies a lot. I remember when I was growing up, I wasn't very good in studies, but I was always very good with these cooking skills and all. So, like, household skills मेरी बहुत अच्छी थी. I remember my father always used to say, these household skills are not going to get you anywhere. What you have to do is you have to study. Okay. So, maybe he just wanted the best for me, but he was somehow or the other, don't you think he was demeaning my skills, the skills which I had, my household skills, which really comes in handy now, isn't it? Because I can manage both. I can manage my work, I can manage my house well. And when my father comes home, he is really happy. All right. So that also happens, isn't it? So, guys, we have self-efficacy. I'm just going to explain what self-efficacy is. Fine. And I'll give you notes in the next class. Okay? All right. What do you mean by self-efficacy? Fine. Let's understand this. So, these are people who believe that they are the ones who are going to control the outcomes of their life. Okay? Now, they don't believe that whatever happens in their life is guided by luck or fate. Fine? They believe that they are the ones who control the outcomes of their life. Okay? So, a person who believes that he or she has the ability required for a particular situation, that is known as a person who is high on self-efficacy. Let me explain this. So, see, guys, generally, when you're giving your papers and suppose you've not scored well or you have missed certain questions, what do we blame it on? We say, oh, the paper was really lengthy. Oh, the teacher did not give me time. The teacher distributed the paper late. When we score low, we say, everyone scored really less. The highest is this much only, right? What are we doing? Aren't we blaming our own mistakes to luck and to situational factors, right? So these are people who are low on self-efficacy. People who are high on self-efficacy will never blame anything on the situational factors or luck or fate. They have this belief that they control the outcomes of their life. These are people who own up to things. So when they have made a mistake, they will say that, I made a mistake. If they have not scored well, they will say that I did not study hard enough. They will not say that the paper was difficult. Okay? So this is a person who is high on self-efficacy.
अब एग्जाम की तैयारी को और बेहतर करने के लिए हमारे चैनल को लाइक, शेयर और सब्सक्राइब करना ना भूलें।